I'm Anna Murray, author of The Complete Software Project Manager. Developing software almost always involves risk. In this video, we're going to take a look at the top 5 project risks and what to do about them. We're going to dive into this list in a second. But first, let's get our heads around the definition of the word risk, especially when it comes to software development. In day-to-day life, when we hear the word risk, we think, there is a possibility that I will endure some harm, but in all likelihood, I will not. In software development, the word risk means something very different. Risks in software have a high likelihood of causing a consequence, in time, budget, or both. Back to our list of risks. An integration point is where one system exchanges data with another. Like when an e-commerce website must draw prices or product data from a separate database. In general, integrations can be tricky to program and difficult to debug. Say you're developing a new accounting system. Obviously, your records of customers, purchase history, and corporate finance history must be transferred from the old system into the new system. This is a data migration. Sometimes the data from the old system is dirty, which happens when there are lots of errors in the data. Other times, the sheer amount of data that must be transferred causes a problem. A customization is when you write novel computer code from scratch or massage an off-the-shelf piece of software to meet your needs. Calling something a customization means you're inventing something new. Because what you're doing is new, how long it's going to take and how much complexity it involves can be uncertain until you're done. Technology moves really fast, and new methods, languages, and platforms are being introduced all the time. Think of all the apps that now exist for mobile phones that weren't around even 5 years ago. Because of the drive to innovate, many companies want to employ a new technology on a software project or move into new technological territory. Just as with buying the first model year of a car, being the first adopter of something carries uncertainty and risk. The size of your project is directly related to how risky it is. The larger the project, the greater the risk. This is because of the number of pieces involved, each one contributing its own set of risks that quickly add up. Quick reality check here. No one is saying these 5 areas, integration, data migration, customization, use of new technology, or large projects, are by definition bad or should be avoided at all costs. For example, integration and data migration are realities of modern software life. Also, the very reason you're doing a software project may be to achieve innovation, which means you might want to use a new technology or have a high degree of customization. And finally, sometimes you simply can't control the size of your project. Okay, so if you are likely to encounter these risks, what can you do about them? Many companies sign up for risks in unconscious ways. They may not have even diagnosed their own project by looking at the list of the 5 biggies and asking themselves which apply to their project. Perhaps achieving a competitive advantage through customization is the whole reason you're doing the software project. Okay, so that's a necessary risk. But you should look for other areas where you can reduce your risk. For example, maybe some of your integrations are nice-to-haves instead of need-to-haves. Or maybe you only need to migrate 5 years of data instead of 10. If it's a large project, consider breaking it up into pieces. Then, for each necessary risk your project has, set aside a budget contingency. A good rule of thumb is about 10% for each of the major risk areas of your project. So, if you're doing a project with lots of integrations, and a big data migration component, a 20% contingency in budget and timeline is a good idea. Knowing the list, mitigating where possible, and setting aside contingencies is a wise way to deal with risks in software development.